Okay, so in theory, if I line this up and just put this back, we should be able to test the pickups now by plugging the guitar in and tapping on each pickup. Because, like I said, in theory, everything should work. This is always the most nerve-wracking bit because this is where you find out that your work is all wrong. And the fiddly bit here is just making sure it all packs into the cavity nicely as well without snagging. Okay. So I'm going to plug this in. I'm just going to plug it into my Line 6 Helix. So we're just going to hear this back through my studio monitors, but it'll be good enough just to give us, you know, a bit of a sound. Make sure I've got it plugged in. So the bridge pickup works and the volume control works. So these controls now shouldn't affect this pickup, which is fine. Second position should be bridge and middle. And then this should turn down the tone of the middle. Very good. Middle pickup. Nothing from the bridge. A little bit of something from the neck. Probably shouldn't be. I will investigate that in a second. Tone control. Yep, that works. Position 4. Nothing from the bridge. Middle and neck. That tone control works. That tone control works. And then the neck pickup. Nothing from the middle or the bridge. That works. That works. Cool. Okay, so the only weird thing there is position 2. It's not really doing it now. Okay, well maybe we can take that as a victory. So before I start reassembling the guitar, I'm just going to make sure, like I said, everything is in there neat, and obviously all my connections are solid. I don't want to pin this down and then find out that I have to take it apart again. Okay, let's put the scratch plate back on. So I don't think this is going to fully line up. I think some of the screw holes are probably going to be slightly out. I mean, I can see one or two that are, but that's okay. I don't really mind too much. Actually, I think quite a few of them are going to be out, but who cares? Who really counts the screws on a scratch plate anyway? It doesn't really affect the sound of the guitar too much. You can argue about that one down below in the comments. Does the number of screws on the scratch plate affect how the guitar sounds? Yes or no? With this being the internet, I imagine the answer is yes. Okay, and the other thing I said I was going to do is block the trem. So I've bought some new springs for this. There's actually 4 in there already, but I'm going to just add a 5th just to make this a hard tail for the time being, especially with the tuner problem that we've run into. I'm not fully confident in setting this up as a trem guitar with one of the tuners not being fully locked down. Okay, so I've actually got 4 springs here that I bought. They're actually slightly smaller than the ones I've already got. So I'm actually just going to try and balance this evenly. I'm going to put 3 thicker springs in on the 2 outsides and the middle, and then I'm going to put 2 of these other springs I bought in the sort of 2nd and 3rd slots. That should be pretty even, I think. That trem ain't going anywhere now. So now I just need to check the nut to see how the glue is setting, and I think we can then put some strings on it and see if all of this work has made it worthwhile. So that looks pretty good to me. There's a little bit of glue sticking out the sides, which I can file down, and then we're good to go. And the last component, before we do put the strings back on, is the new knob tops and the switch top. So I've gone for these aged ones. Did I just break that? Nope, I thought I broke that then. I've gone for these aged ones just to kind of go with the aged pickguard. Okay, this is looking pretty good. I think everything is tight, everything is ready to go. So I'm just going to give it a final once over, and then we'll put some strings on this thing and hear what it sounds like. Alright, so restring time now. I have used Ernie ball strings forever, so that's what I'm going to be using. I usually use the regular slinkies, which are 10 to 46. But I'm trying some new ones at the moment, which are the Ultra Slinkies. They sent me a couple of these recently along with the Mega Slinkies, which are pretty cool. The Ultras are 10 to 48 compared to the 10 to 46 of these. So these are 10, 13, 17, 26, 36, 46. These are 10, 13, 17, 28, 38, 48. So the wound strings are 2 higher. So that should be quite an interesting experiment. Should get a little bit more tightness in the low end. So let's get these on and then we'll fire this thing up. The cool thing about having locking tuners on a guitar is it allows me to get to this stage with all the strings on really quick. You basically just push the string through the tuning peg, tighten the nut on the back, and away you go. So now I can just focus on getting it in tune. All right, strings on. Cut off the excess strings at the top now because that does not look good. I'm never a fan of seeing when people leave that like sticking out. Okay, so we're off to a good start. It's in tune. The only thing I've noticed, which I'm not going to correct today because I don't know where my files are, but the nut is actually slightly too high. Now I did just buy an aftermarket nut and fit it without measuring it. So obviously if you were going to replace the nut on the guitar, you should always make sure the height is the same as the one you've previously taken off. It's not massively higher, but it's a little bit higher, and I like my action quite high, but that's a little bit high even for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to file the slots down a little bit more when I can find my files. But other than that, it works. All right, so now that it's all strung up, tuned up, and everything else, it's time to hear it. So I'm plugged into the Blackstar Studio 10 6L6, which is mic'd with the Lewitt Audio LCT440 Condenser mic, as always. I think that's the same rig I used the first time I demoed this. You'd have to go back and watch the video, but I'm pretty sure that's what I used. So I haven't given this a setup yet, so there may be a couple of dead notes here and there. I haven't actually adjusted the action or the truss rod. It's just sort of as it is because I need to do a bit more work on the nut. So yeah, we'll deal with that as we get to it. But here's the clean tone in all 5 positions. Now the bit of drive, I've got the Ceriatone Centura switched on. And now a bit more drive, I've got the Chevtone Effects Messiah Drive stacked on top of the Centura. There you go guys, there is my £150 Squier Bullet Strat with a bunch of upgrades done. What do you think? Was that worth it? And you know, is this something you're considering doing yourself? As I said at the start of the video, if you are taking a cheap guitar and upgrading it, you do first of all have to consider what it's going to cost you to upgrade it. So I probably spent somewhere in the region of what this guitar is worth on parts alone. So yeah, we're probably talking £150 worth of parts in a £150 guitar. The reason I did that was to see if it can be improved exponentially. Personally, I think it sounds a lot better. There's still a little bit of work I need to do to get this fully playing the way I want, but that's just because I didn't measure the nut and I haven't given it a proper setup yet. But as a starting point, it's pretty good. The pickups definitely open it up a bit more. You know, having new controls or everything that's been done on this now gives it a much more open sound. I'm maybe not fully sold on the pickups. They're maybe not the exact Strat pickups I want, but for now, they're definitely an improvement on what was stock with the guitar. So it's always an interesting experiment. If you are considering doing this, obviously don't go out of your way to buy a cheap guitar just to do this, but it's a great way to take a guitar you may have a bit of an attachment to that is affordable and take it to the next level, or maybe you just want to push your own skill set a little bit and try this yourself and see where you go with it. But there's no guarantee that it will always work. You know, you could end up spending way more money on parts than the guitar is worth, and it could still be a very poor quality guitar. This is a good example of a guitar that is pretty good quality. I mean, Squier are pretty consistent with what they're doing. The Bullet stuff is pretty good. It's obviously aimed at entry-level players, but I mean, for 150 quid, it's a great starting point for a modding platform for a Strat. It's a little bit thinner than your average Strat body, so obviously take that into consideration, like I said, but this principle works with anything. So yeah, let me know, how do you guys think it sounds now compared to the old video? So please go check that one out if you haven't already done it to hear how this sounded stock. And also, let me know how you guys have done with your own modding. Is there any guitar stuff you guys have modded or anything you want to mod? I'd love to hear what kind of plans you've got in this world as well. While you're down there doing that, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys very soon.